You're not exhausted because life is unusually hard. You're exhausted because your mind has been reacting to everything all day. A message changes your mood. A delay steals your patience. Someone's opinion follows you into dinner. A small mistake becomes a story about your future. And the dangerous part is how normal this feels. You think this is adulthood, responsibility, success. But nearly 2,000 years ago, the most powerful man in the world was fighting the same invisible war, not against enemies, against his own mind. His name was Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor, commander of armies, leader of millions, and at night, instead of writing speeches or celebrating power, he wrote reminders to himself, private notes, warnings, corrections, attempts to stay sane in a world that kept testing him. These writings were never meant to impress anyone. They were meant to save one person from himself. That matters, because advice written for applause sounds different than advice written for survival. And if your life looks fine on the outside but feels noisy on the inside, this may be one of the few books that meets you where you actually live. Maybe you know this feeling already. You get things done, people rely on you, you carry more than most people notice. But privately, your attention is scattered, rest feels guilty, silence feels unfamiliar, even wins fade fast. You solve one problem and your mind immediately searches for the next one. That's why some people look successful and still feel poor. Not poor in money, poor in peace. And most people respond the same way. They try to improve the outside, better schedule, better productivity system, better job, better relationship, better city, better body, better routine. Sometimes those things help, but if the mind using them stays undisciplined, every upgrade becomes temporary. You can renovate a house while the foundation cracks beneath it. That is the modern trap. We are highly optimized externally, emotionally undertrained internally. Marcus would have recognized it immediately. He wrote during years of war, political pressure, loss, disease, betrayal, constant responsibility. Yet the enemy he returned to most was not events themselves, it was judgment, interpretation, the meaning the mind adds to reality, and that changes everything. Because if suffering came only from events, you would be helpless. But if much of suffering comes from interpretation, you have leverage, not total control, leverage. There's a difference. Imagine two people receive the same criticism. One hears useful feedback. The other hears proof they are failing at life. Same words, different worlds. Imagine two people face the same delay. One adjusts, the other spirals. Same event, different suffering. This is not about pretending pain is fake. It's about noticing pain often arrives once, then the mind repeats it for free. Some people are drowning in problems. Others are drowning in interpretations. That line alone can change a week. Because the next time stress hits, you can ask a better question. What happened? And what story did I add? Those are rarely the same thing. What if the next promotion improves your calendar, but not your mind? What if more money removes pressure, but not restlessness? What if you're trying to solve an internal problem with external tools? That's uncomfortable, but useful. Marcus keeps returning to one dividing line. There are things you can influence, and things you cannot. Your choices, your character, your response, those are yours. Other people's opinions, timing, weather, markets, past events, instant outcomes, those are not fully yours. Most anxiety is created by confusing the two. You waste strength gripping what won't obey, and then feel weak because it didn't move. Think about how much life energy disappears there, trying to control how everyone sees you, trying to guarantee no one leaves, trying to force certainty from an uncertain future, trying to rewrite yesterday. No wonder people are tired. They are spending premium energy on unwinnable battles. Peace often begins as subtraction, not adding more, releasing what was never yours to carry. Tomorrow morning, before checking your phone, ask one question: what is actually mine today? Then protect your effort for those things, your attention, your honesty, your patience, your standard of work, your willingness to begin. That one practice can make a chaotic day feel cleaner. But here's where most summaries stop. They say control what you can control. Nice quote, useful poster. Here's what most people take from this book. Focus on what you control. Here's what they miss. Marcus was not trying to feel comfortable. He was trying to become trustworthy to himself. That is deeper, because you can use self-help to become efficient while remaining fragile. You can become productive while dishonest. You can become admired while inwardly dependent. Marcus cared about character more than performance, not because performance is worthless, because performance without character collapses under pressure. Anyone can look calm when life cooperates. Who are you when it doesn't? That is the real test. And this is where the book becomes confrontational. Many people say they want peace. What they really want is favorable conditions. They want traffic to move, people to agree, bodies to cooperate, plans to succeed, emails to be kind, markets to rise. That's not peace, that's preference. Peace is what remains when preference is denied. Sit with that, because it means your calm cannot depend entirely on cooperation from the world. The world never signed that contract. Another theme runs through the book again and again: mortality. Modern people often avoid that word. Marcus did the opposite. He used it as medicine, not to become dark, To become clear, if time is limited, then resentment becomes expensive. Delay becomes dangerous. Performing for strangers becomes absurd. Petty arguments become visible for what they are. Remembering life ends does not steal meaning. It returns meaning. You don't need a crisis to start living. You need honesty about time. How many important things are postponed because you assume there will be a cleaner season later? The conversation, the apology, the courageous decision, the work that matters, the version of you that requires discomfort. Someday is a beautiful hiding place. Marcus keeps closing that door. Most people don't need more motivation. They need fewer illusions. The illusion of endless time. The illusion that anger feels powerful. The illusion that achievement automatically creates peace. The illusion that avoidance is harmless. Once illusions break, action becomes simpler, not easier, simpler. There is also a surprising warmth in this book people miss. Marcus talks often about difficult people, selfish people, unfair people, ignorant people. But his answer is not bitterness, it is perspective. People act from what they believe, what they were taught, what they failed to see. That doesn't excuse harm, but it changes your posture. You stop drinking poison just because someone else is unwell. That matters in modern life more than ever, because outrage is profitable now. Algorithms reward it, conversations spread it, identity can form around it. But outrage is expensive for the person carrying it. Some anger is necessary. Chronic anger is self-harm wearing moral clothing. The strongest people are not always the loudest. Often they are the least possessed by provocation. Now think about work. Many ambitious people believe relentless pressure is the price of excellence. Sometimes effort is required, deeply required. But pressure and excellence are not synonyms. A frantic mind makes worse decisions. A resentful mind poisons good opportunities. A distracted mind mistakes motion for progress. Calm is not laziness. Calm is usable power. The person who can think clearly while others panic becomes rare very quickly. That's why this book keeps surviving centuries. It trains something modern tools cannot automate: inner steadiness. And inner steadiness compounds. It improves conversations. It improves judgment. It improves leadership. It improves love. It improves recovery after failure. It improves the quality of ordinary days. At this point, someone might object. So should I stop caring about goals? No. Marcus was an emperor, not a dropout. Responsibility matters. Action matters. Excellence matters. But he separates effort from attachment. Do the work fully. Release the obsession with immediate reward. That one shift saves enormous suffering because attachment says, if this fails, I fail. Discipline says, if this fails, I learn and continue. One identity breaks with outcomes, the other uses outcomes. And now we reach the part that can quietly change a life. Your thoughts are not commands. They are events. They appear, they pass, they ask to be believed. Not every thought deserves citizenship in your mind. A fear arrives, that doesn't make it prophecy. A judgment arrives, that doesn't make it truth. An urge arrives, that doesn't make it wisdom. The ability to pause before obeying the mind may be one of the highest forms of freedom available to a human being. No title can give it, no purchase can install it, no applause can replace it. It must be practiced. There is one thing life can damage, delay, or destroy only if you hand it over first: your character. Life can touch your money, your plans, your reputation, your comfort, your timeline. But courage, honesty, patience, discipline, generosity, integrity, these require your participation to lose. That means your most valuable possession was never outside you. This is the synthesis. Control what is yours. Question the story added to events. Remember, time is finite. Meet people with perspective. Work hard without worshiping outcomes. Protect character above image. Together, these ideas create a person who is harder to shake. Not because life becomes gentle, because they become grounded. Now the mirror. There are two kinds of people reading this right now. The first keeps waiting for circumstances to become ideal before becoming stable. They will improve tools, environments, plans, and still wonder why peace keeps moving farther away. The second begins where they are. In traffic, in uncertainty, in ordinary mornings. They train attention. They notice stories. They release what isn't theirs. They keep promises to themselves. Same world, different life. Which one are you rehearsing daily? Let's make this practical. Tomorrow morning, choose one frustration you usually dramatize: a delay, a message, a difficult person. When it appears, separate fact from story. Fact, the meeting moved. Story, nobody respects me. Fact, they disagreed. Story, I'm losing status. Fact, progress is slower than planned. Story, I'm behind forever. That single separation creates space, and space is where better responses live. At night, review one moment you lost self-command, not to shame yourself, to train yourself. Ask, what would strength have looked like there? Do that often enough and identity changes quietly. You stop seeing yourself as someone life happens to. You become someone who can meet life well. And the final idea is this. Marcus Aurelius did not write these notes because he was above human weakness. He wrote them because he was human. The value of this book is not that an emperor had perfect wisdom. It is that even an emperor needed reminders. So do you. So do I. The goal is not to become unfeeling. Not to become superior, not to win every inner battle forever. The goal is to return faster, to notice sooner, to recover cleaner, to choose better, again and again. That is what real strength often looks like. Quiet, repeatable, available today. So before you chase the next upgrade outside your life, ask a harder question. What would change if you trained the mind living inside it? If this changed how you think about pressure, the next video is about why discipline fails when identity stays weak.